Let's understand a bit about digital ecosystem. How does it work? Yeah. Just three pillars. Everything is, whether it's LLM world or digital world or digitization, whatever it is, it's only these three pillars. How is my data looking? On which platform? It can be bolt, unbolt, plug, replugged, right? And how am I then connecting, dealing with my customers? If you can manage across these three, I've just brought in 300 to 3, then you are sorted. And I'm putting a case in point because most of us, or every one of us, have taken flights or take flight. Very simple. If you look at, finally you have to cluster all the processes, link it with certain applications, and then prepare KPIs around it. That's how it works. So it's no so-called jazzy fancy. It is a very deep, detailed work for you to get into. I've just put a reference architecture. You can see how many technologies, how many systems finally work to give you omni-channel connectivity, from your web to mobile to tablet to whatever devices. So, technology is no more enabling function. It is driving. So that's a big paradigm shift. It is no more enabling. As I said, bread to banking, right? Farm to fork. So it is a paradigm shift. Quick look at the trends and priorities. These are the few trends which you might be, we spoke about AI, 5G, IoT is something which is blockchain, and Web3 is something which can become a complete game changer. The moment Web3 comes, things will change. Right? RPA is very, very strong. We are seeing 3D printing. And all these are game changers and all these are businesses. By the way, I'm not talking technology here. I'm only talking business. These all are the businesses which are going to change the game. And in terms of the priorities, what clients are looking at, of course, TCO, total cost of ownership. Yeah. So first industrial revolution is, as Anish said, all was about steam engine. It gave a big, all of a sudden power to all of us. And brought huge productivity improvement, efficiency improvement, effectiveness improvement. It all happened somewhere in 19th century. 18th century to be precise, 1760s or so. Right? This started, it continued for another 80 to 100 years. Came the next, with Faraday, you would have heard the law, first those laws came into picture in 1929 and 30, and then slowly it became commercialized and masses by 1950s. So electricity, gas, or oil changed the way. And then what was the third industrial revolution, which came in about 1950s or so, which gave us the nuclear and microprocessing power all around the world. But why I'm talking this? Why I'm bringing and talking this? Because each industrial revolution created a shift. Each industrial revolution created a shift. And with each shift, there is something very beautiful happened. It created a new style of leadership. Prior to industrial revolution, all around the world, including India, it used to be what? Kings and kingdoms, right? Right? Which is autocratic leadership all around the world. But with the rise of industrial revolution, the new style of leadership came into play. With Industrial Revolution 1 and 2, the democracy came. US was the first country in the modern world to adopt democracy in 1776 post its independence. And thereafter Europe followed in 1800s or 1900s, right? And then rest of the world. Thereafter came the third style of leadership with third industrial revolution, because leaders around the world started understanding that microprocessing and nuclear power has a different kind of mindset. It's the mindset where the raw material to finished material is between the machine, between the two ears. So hence they have no choice but to delegate, but to trust to the expert or set of experts. And hence delegative leadership came into play. This is very different to those three industrial revolutions. This is an era of cyber, physical and digital boundaries. Right? The previous three industrial revolutions changed the way we were doing things, but this one changes us. Because, and why do I say so? Why do I say so, by the way? This will changes us. This one changes us. Anyone?
Like maybe as the industry 4.0 comes, like AI thing, so with that the other industries will have to change. There will be new adoption. In that process, who will be the early adopter that is going to be the beneficial for them?
I'm not talking of industry, I'm talking of this one changes us. Us means human beings. See, what I said in the previous three industrial revolution, it was more about just the professional space. Whatever you are doing, it was becoming more effective, productive, efficient. But, and where I started with the evolution though of Industry 4.0 from 1990 onwards. What all has happened with Web 2.0, which came in 2004? All of a sudden your Web 1.0 was read, Web 2.0 was read, write and react, which gave rise to social media. Professional space moved to your emotional space as well, personal space as well. Right? Now, if you talk about the youngsters, which includes you all as well, your mind fluctuates 200 times in a day because of a comment of your friend or a stranger to something which you dearly loved, and that comment appears to be sarcastic. Example, the moment that sarcastic comments comes, right, it influences your personal world, emotional world, thinking world, right? Imposter syndrome was not even a word till about 20 years back. WHO was not even tracking mental health as a parameter before the or at the time of Web 2.0. In 2005, if you go and do Google, WHO was not even tracking it. Data was not even considered important. Now mental health has become the highest priority or parameter when it comes to WHO and all the governments around the world. And all of a sudden, the data became the new oil. Right? The data privacy, the GDPRs of the world have come up. Right? India was one of the last adopters. In 2023, India also formally introduced data privacy. Though data privacy in Indian perspective was more of Indian data needs to remain in India, but from Europe perspective, it is my data. You have to take my permission, which came in 2018 as the first one. So, while other revolutions changed the way we were doing things, this one changes us big time. This one changes us big time. Because tech is entering in our personal, social, as well as spiritual space. And that's why I call it the tech revolution and leadership evolution. It's a paradigm shift in both leadership as well as business. Now you're connecting everything where we are going. Right? This tech revolution is beyond the scope of government and boundaries and geographies. This is very different. A cyber crime happens, you go to any police thana, doesn't matter. Sir, it was something. Even if you go to a financial crime to RBI, but if it has come from Nigeria, no one can do anything. Right? So, it is beyond the boundary. So, culture, emotions and values will need attention as we move along. And for you who are going to become the future leaders, be it as a business executive or be as an entrepreneur, it's far, far important for you. Hence, it is a need for leadership needs to be evaluated. The definition of smartness is going to go change. Because if everything is being done by AI, everyone is same. Grade doesn't matter based on the memory. Grade doesn't matter based on how many books or reference material you have looked at. Because you run a prompt and you get the answer. Where the hell is that smartness? Right? Even your junior who has not attended a single class runs the same prompt, has the same answer. He can or she can put. Right? The definition of smartness is going to change. And hence leadership will also change. So what is the primary driver of a value creation for a business leader? So far the value leader or value creation of a business leader is, I am the best sales guy, I have got these many contacts, I know the rates, I know the pricing, but everything is open now. Right? You do a Google, you can find what is the software developer salary in US, UK, Europe, India. Right? What is the salary of a marketing leader? What is the salary of HR person? Everything is available. Right? The balance sheet of companies are there. Everything. Now, what is the value creation of a business leader? Business leader will generate value. It's a very deep sentence. Not because what he or she does, but because who he or she is. Are you with me? We are talking something very deep here. We are connecting everything now. When I started with paradigm shift in business and in leadership with respect to digitalization and with respect to AI and Industry 4.0, everything is getting connected over here. And the consciousness is one which gives that value. We are going very, very deep.
More on the previous slide.
This one?
No, the next one. Not what they do, but what who they are.
Yes. Good question. Aditya. What one does can be done by AI. What AI cannot do is compassion. What AI cannot do is care. What AI cannot do is courageous decision. What AI cannot do is creating a culture of cohesion within your team. I'll come to you. What AI cannot do is create a laughter in this room. What AI cannot do is create curious people. Answers will be there. The game changer is asking the right question.
Then shouldn't it be the reverse basically? It's not basically, it does not matter who the person really is, but what impact we create for the people around us.
You can create an impact based on who you are. Based on who you are, you will create an impact. If you love to watch a game of cricket, you would want your friends to come like that, or you would want to go and join them. But if you love the game of soccer, you would want to look for a company like that. So that's where who you are. I'll go to Anish. Yes, Anish.
So the problem is that in theory this it looks lovely, but when you're trying to execute in like a startup environment especially, you're usually always fighting to survive. And in that case, when you have to think about compassion versus like with this efficiency or this prioritization, then you have to make like tougher calls in order to survive. So, like you think that's wrong?
No, absolutely not. Who says tougher calls are not to be made? Who says? Absolutely. See, as someone who has led the businesses and organizations at a level where you have to deliver quarter on quarter results, it does not mean compassion, does not mean niceties. Right? What I am communicating is one thing, but how I am communicating is another thing. As an entrepreneur or as a business leader, you can tell, hey, because of so much compelling business reason, I have no choice but I have to fire you. But you know what? Look for other jobs and I will be there to provide a reference for you. So I am not saying that you cannot or you should not take tough calls. Tough calls have to be. It is how you take it, and that's where the compassion lies. You get it, Ish?
So to summarize whatever you just said right now, what I understand from this is that human intelligence will be imitated or even outperformed by the future technology, but emotional quotient will be the one which will be the thing which will be impacting the business leadership style of the business in the future.
Absolutely right. Earlier it used to be IQ. Now it is EQ. And for an individual, it will be AQ. So it is a game of moving from IQ to EQ and AQ, both as an individual as well as a business leader. To your question or the point which anyone knows about AQ, should I tell about it? Yeah. Adversity quotient. It is the question which you asked in a startup environment. It is tough. How do I? No. That is the place. You as a leader will face a lot of adversities. And that's where you have to apply the EQ. And those two will be more important than the IQ, because IQ is your chat GPTs and AI already in place. And that's where the value creation or multiplier will be the leader who you are. And who you are is defined by your mindfulness. And thus I say it's the consciousness which is the value multiplier. If you are looking as an entrepreneur to set up a business and sell it off with huge multiples, it will be the consciousness which will make your business fly with multipliers. These are the folks to whom I call consciouspreneur. So when I started saying that there is a reason where I founded consciouspreneur, because this is not a vanity. This is the requirement as we move along. And many and most are not even realizing about it. Because things are moving so fast. Things are moving so fast. Right? You are still catching up, right? Forget about people, governments. Right? This data being a new oil, or no one was knowing that hey, I'm enjoying sharing the pictures on Facebook or sharing my comments on YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever will be sold by these folks as data. Right? For you, everything is free. For you means for all of us. Right? And the fact of the matter is, any product for which you are not paying, you are a product. ठीक है ना? But no one was knowing. By the time you could know, it was already very late. by the time government started understanding, and Europe, as I said, they were the first one to create GDPR, data protection right, but by that time data was already everywhere. There are two questions. Just go into a website called manojgupta.com. In the poll section, there are two questions. One question is, how do you prefer to gain real world experience during your studies? Right? Pick up whatever you answer. And the second one is, what is the biggest challenge as a student you face in balancing academics and career? Shall I reveal? How is it looking?
Yes.
Okay. And should I touch this or leave it? Because then we'll have to call whether it is setting up here, because it's HP, this is Apple, and then the USB-C to USB and blah and bit, we do not. So when I look at the answer with respect to how do you prefer to gain real world experience, the highest percentage I could see is in this group is by starting your own venture. Who all voted for this? Okay. Followed by very close. So this was about 39%. Very close to it was working on live projects. And of course, the followed by internship at top companies. But in terms of distribution, it was not far too different. But when I look at the second question, now a minute back the pattern was different, but now it has changed. It was clearly showing a green earlier. So the lowest, if I pick up, which is very interesting, what is the biggest challenge people face at some other places? It is not the answer which is the lowest. Here in this case, only 17% is lack of time for extracurricular. That clearly reflects that you guys get a lot of time to extracurricular as well, which is really, really good. And the one which has scored highest is something which towards the last we spoke certainly is the point which you all need to be more mindful about. And that is nothing which is surprising: managing stress and workload. So most of you have voted that it is the stress and the workload. How do I manage? But the good news is, if you are aware of what problem you have, you are in a very, very, very beautiful place. The biggest issue is when I do not know what I do not know. So when you know what you do not know, you are in a far better place. Then you need to just address that issue. Okay. With that, any questions, any conversation? Yes.
So can you talk about leadership in the real world? Like, how can I be a good leader? How can somebody be a good leader?
Give me a bit more, what exactly? I can talk in any context, but so, Arunya, the best, for you to be a good leader in a business ecosystem, the most important thing is objectivity. Okay? If you are objective with yourself and with your team, and what I mean to say with objective, you're working with your peer, you're working with your senior, you're working with your junior. Set very clear aspect of what is my role and what are my deliverables. And what is my timelines and how do I do it. So that is, and keep that as transparent. So objectivity is one, transparency is two. And the third one is not just communicate but connect. Yeah, you're good?
So as you talked about conscious dinner, so how do we achieve that in day-to-day life? What are the steps towards it? Do you have any
Yeah. So there again, if you go into double click of that, there's again a complete conversation of each space and very long, Hitesh, right? And then one has to follow that regime. But can anyone follow and get into that? Of course. Would there be a concerted steps and efforts which require? Of course. It is like you want to tone yourself. There is a process of several months to go, either running or gymming or walking or whatever is the case. Here in this case, if I talk about in a very simple, is ABCD. If you know ABCD, you are done. And ABCD is an abbreviation of two things. A stands for awareness, B for breathing, C for choices, and D for discipline. So if you are aware of that moment, and then again it comes with the different practices. Okay. So for you to get into that zone, there are certain practices you apply and you certainly get into that direction, but it is largely around this ABCD. You're thinking, any follow-up question or shall I move on? Yes, sir.
Sir, I wanted to know one thing about your book, The Consciouspreneur. What's the one core message that you are trying to convey to the reader?
The one core message is, if you look as an entrepreneur, you look or focus between profitability and growth. But as a consciouspreneur, you will link purpose to this. Okay? When you are talking of profitability and growth, what is my purpose? Because going forward, people will only work with you when they align with your purpose. No one, as a leader, if you are going to start something, unless and until you rally people behind the purpose and the vision. See, so far the corporate used to talk about what? Vision, mission, values. Blah, gone. Now it's vision, strategy, execution. That's it. Things have changed. So for you, the approach needs to be radically different what it used to be.